Hello everyone, welcome to Super Hits Movies. Today, I'm going to explain the movie Aquaman 2018. During a violent storm, Tom, a lighthouse keeper, spotted a woman unconscious on the shore. Injured and barely breathing, she still clutched a strange trident even in her sleep. Battling the wind and rain, Tom rushed to her side and carried her into the safety of the lighthouse, unaware that his life was about to change forever. When she woke, fear flashed in her eyes. She raised the trident, ready to strike. But Tom didn't flinch. He calmly reassured her, "Easy, easy. You weren't breathing." Exhausted and disoriented, she quickly lost consciousness again, leaving Tom with no answers. He cared for her, tending to her wounds and preparing food. When she awoke once more, starving and confused, she devoured his pet fish raw. Unfazed, Tom simply offered her tea, earning her first genuine smile. Eventually, she revealed the truth. Her name was Atlanta, Queen of Atlantis. She was fleeing from an arranged marriage. Against all odds, Tom and Atlanta fell deeply in love, and soon, they had a son, Arthur. But their peace didn't last. One day, Atlantean soldiers stormed the lighthouse to take her back. Tom hid their baby while Atlanta fought with unmatched fury, defeating them. Yet she knew they would never stop hunting her. To protect her family, she had to return to Atlantis. Before leaving, she made Tom a promise. And just like that, she was gone, leaving Tom to raise Arthur alone, never knowing if he would see her again. Arthur grew up different. At school, children mocked him, calling him a freak. Until one day at the aquarium, everything changed. A shark slammed violently against the glass, seemingly defending Arthur. Yet Arthur stood calm, his mind somehow connected to the creature. In that moment, everyone realized Arthur wasn't just different. He belonged to another world. Years later, deep in the ocean, pirates hijacked a submarine, ruthless and deadly until something hit them hard. The lights flickered, panic spread, and then a powerful figure stepped aboard. Arthur had returned, but now he was Aquaman. He stormed the vessel, swiftly defeating the pirates and freeing the captured crew. Manta, enraged by the intrusion, attacked him but was overpowered. As Jesse tried to shoot Arthur with a powerful weapon, it only stunned him briefly. Arthur quickly recovered, injuring Jesse and leaving him stranded inside the damaged submarine. As Arthur prepared to leave, Jesse fired another shot, but it ricocheted, striking the vessel itself and causing water to flood the interior. The chaos dislodges a massive gas tank, which crashes down and crushes Jesse's leg. Manta frantically tries to free his father, but he doesn't have the strength to lift the weight. Desperate, he begs Arthur for help. Arthur coldly refuses, telling Manta that Jesse's crimes have cost countless lives, and now he must face the consequences. With his final breath, Jesse stares into his son's eyes and gives him one last command. He activates a grenade, sacrificing himself as the submarine explodes. Manta survives. In that moment, justice no longer matters. All he wants now is revenge. Later, Arthur returns to shore, where he reunites with his father, Tom. Relieved to see his son, Tom suggests they grab breakfast, just like old times. They head to a local bar. On TV, news anchors report the rescue of a hijacked submarine. Arthur shrugs it off, but Tom looks at him with pride. To Arthur, he was just doing what was right. But to the world, he was becoming something more. When the word Atlantis comes up, Arthur shifts uncomfortably. He tells Tom to drop it. He owes that place nothing. Took his mother from him. Tom gently reminds him, "You can't carry that guilt forever." But for Arthur, the guilt never left. Not for a second. Their conversation is cut short when a group of bar patrons recognize Arthur as Aquaman. To his surprise, they don't mock him. They cheer, crowding around for selfies and treating him like a celebrity. Meanwhile, deep in the ocean, King Orm meets with his advisor, Foko, before leading a delegation to the kingdom of Zebul. There, ORM seeks an audience with King Nereus to discuss a looming threat. At the council, ORM argues that humans are reckless. Their submarines push dangerously close to Atlantis. He insists a preemptive strike is the only way to ensure survival. But Nereus resists, believing humanity will destroy itself without Atlantis intervening. ORM pushes back, warning that humanity's aggression will eventually turn toward Atlantis. Still unconvinced, Nereus reminds him that an invasion requires the support of 4 Atlantean kingdoms. ORM claims he has plans to rally the others, but needs Nereus' help to secure the alliance. Suspicious, Nereus accuses ORM of using the human threat as a scheme to claim the title of Ocean Master. ORM denies it, but Nereus doesn't believe him. He even mentions rumors of a half-breed heir who could one day claim the throne. ORM sneers, dismissing Arthur as nothing more than a disgrace. A half-brother he blames for their mother's death. Their tense meeting is suddenly interrupted by a submarine attack that kills many of their men. Enraged, ORM retaliates, destroying the vessel with his own hands. The violent strike convinces Nereus that ORM's warnings may be true. He reluctantly agrees to an alliance, giving ORM the leverage he needs. ORM declares it's time to send a message to the surface world. Back at the bar, Tom has had too much to drink. Amused yet exasperated, Arthur helps him to the truck. On the drive home, Arthur wrestles with his feelings about Atlantis, the destiny others expect of him, and the resentment he still carries. As they prepare to leave, Arthur is approached by a woman named Mara. Urgently, she tells him he must follow her to Atlantis. Arthur refuses, repeating what he told Foco before. He owes Atlantis nothing. Killed his mother. But Mara warns that ORM is planning war against the surface world, and the only way to stop him is if Arthur takes his rightful place as king. Arthur laughs at the idea, pointing out that ORM would never give up the throne, and that as someone who has never even been to Atlantis, no one would recognize him as their king. Mara insists that there is a way to find the lost trident of King Atlan, a weapon of immense power that would grant Arthur legitimacy and respect. She explains that Foco has uncovered clues to its location and urges Arthur to join her in the search. But despite her persistence, Arthur refuses and drives away. Elsewhere, ORM meets with Manta, who is revealed to have staged the submarine attack under ORM's orders. ORM praises him for his role in swaying King Nereus, but when Manta demands the chance to avenge his father by killing Arthur, ORM dismisses him, ending their deal. As Arthur drives Tom home, he notices birds fleeing the coastline. He looks out to sea and sees a massive tsunami racing toward them. He floors the gas pedal, but the wave engulfs the truck in seconds. Just before disaster strikes, Mara appears, using her hydrokinesis to form an air pocket around them. Arthur scrambles to pull Tom from the wrecked vehicle, but his father has passed out. Mira steps in to help, using her powers to revive him. As Arthur and Mira take in the devastation caused by the tsunami, she reveals that it was ORM's doing, a warning to the surface world. She warns that worse is coming, as ORM's plans for war are already underway. This time, Arthur reluctantly agrees to follow her to Atlantis. Arriving in Atlantis for the first time, Arthur is struck by the grandeur of the underwater city. Mira leads him to Foco, who is overjoyed to finally see Arthur there after years of trying to bring him. Arthur wastes no time, demanding answers about the attack on the surface. Foco explains that the tsunami was only the beginning, with ORM preparing for a full-scale war. Mira presses Foco on what triggered ORM's aggression. Foco recounts the supposed ambush by a surface submarine during ORM and Nereus meeting, which convinced Nereus to form an alliance. Arthur is skeptical, arguing that no one on the surface even believes Atlantis exists. Foco insists the attack was real and has given ORM the leverage he needed to unite Atlantis kingdoms. He warns that if ORM secures the support of 2 more nations, he will command the largest army in the ocean and claim the title of Ocean Master. The only way to stop him, Foco says, is for Arthur to challenge ORM and take the throne. Arthur, still resistant, argues he has no desire to be king. Foco urges him to reconsider, explaining that the people will only accept his rule if he retrieves the legendary trident of King Atlan. Without it, Arthur has no chance of rallying Atlantis to his side. Though conflicted, Arthur begins to realize the weight of the responsibility he cannot ignore. He mentions that he already has his mother's trident, but Foko explains that the weapon they seek is no ordinary one. It was forged by the finest weapon masters for King Atlan, the first ruler of Atlantis. As Foko recounts its legend, he describes how Atlantis once thrived as the most advanced civilization on the surface, until its ambition led to its downfall. A catastrophic experiment sank the kingdom to the ocean floor, forcing its people to adapt to underwater life. Divided by their losses, the Atlanteans splintered into separate kingdoms. Heartbroken, Atlan disappeared into exile with the trident, never to be seen again. Foko presents an ancient recorder discovered by archaeologists, believed to contain Atlan's final message and the location of the trident. Arthur asks why they can't simply play it, but Foko explains that the device is too old to function without specialized equipment found only in the Deserter Kingdom. Before Arthur can take the recorder, ORM's soldiers ambush the meeting site and blow it apart. Arthur battles the attackers while Mira and Foko retreat to avoid being seen with him. Despite his efforts, Arthur is overpowered, chained, and brought before ORM. Arthur sees his half-brother's disdain and conflicted emotions. ORM, surprised by Arthur's presence in Atlantis, admits he is unsure what punishment fits for someone he has always despised. When ORM asks if Arthur has come to challenge him for the throne, Arthur declares he is ready to end the war ORM is starting. ORM, pleased, accepts the challenge, despite protests from Mira and Foko. Mira points out that Arthur is unprepared for underwater combat, but ORM dismisses her concerns. Confident he can humiliate Arthur before the people, ORM lays out the stakes. If Arthur wins, ORM will relinquish the throne. If he loses, Arthur will die. While Arthur prepares for the duel, Foko visits him and chastises him for walking into ORM's trap. Arthur, confident, insists he can win, but Foko warns him that fighting underwater is vastly different from fighting on land. The warning shakes Arthur, who recalls his painful memories of Atlanta and blames himself for her fate. Back in the present, that bitterness fuels his determination to confront ORM. Meanwhile, ORM presents Mira with a ceremonial bracelet, speaking confidently of his impending victory over Arthur. Mira challenges him, asking if Atlanta would have wanted her sons to fight each other. ORM deflects, insisting that defeating Arthur will cement his rule and secure Atlanta's strength against the surface. Mira appears uneasy, torn between her loyalty to Atlantis and her growing belief that Arthur may be the leader they truly need. The stage is set for a confrontation that could decide the fate of both worlds. Mira challenges ORM, pointing out that his actions betray their mother's values. ORM dismisses her words, calling their mother weak and warning Mira not to emulate her. Their conversation is cut short when Foko arrives with Arthur, prompting ORM to order his advisor to escort Mira, his betrothed, to the royal box. Arthur is stunned to learn of Mira's engagement to ORM but keeps his thoughts to himself. Before the fight begins, Arthur reflects on how he once longed to meet his half-brother to assure him he wasn't alone. But ORM expresses no such sentiment. He reluctantly offers Arthur one last chance. Return to the surface and await Atlantis' inevitable attack. Arthur refuses. The two march to the battleground, where a crowd of Atlantean citizens gathers to witness the duel. In the royal box, Mira confronts her father, King Nereus, about his support for the war. Nereus defends his stance, blaming the surface dwellers for starting hostilities. He insists it is time to show them their place. Meanwhile, the duel begins. Although Arthur struggles at first, he manages to land a few strikes. But the tide soon turns, with ORM gaining the upper hand. Just as he's about to deliver a decisive blow, Mira intervenes, trapping ORM in an air pocket. She arrives with her ship and urges Arthur to escape with her. They flee Atlantis, but ORM and his soldiers quickly pursue them. Despite ORM's men destroying their ship, Arthur and Mira evade capture by hiding inside the mouth of a massive sea creature, which Arthur communicates with to ensure their safety. Believing them dead, ORM and his forces withdraw. Once safe, Mira tells Arthur they must travel to the Sahara Desert to play Atlan's recording in the Deserter Kingdom. On the plane ride there, Mira expresses regret for her actions, feeling she has betrayed her family and her people. Arthur tries to comfort her, joking that at least she won't have to marry ORM, though the guilt still weighs heavily on her. Arthur reassures her that she did the right thing. Their tracker soon pinpoints the location of the Deserter Kingdom, and they parachute from the plane. Meanwhile, ORM's men discover that Mira's bracelet is still transmitting a signal from the desert. Although Nereus demands his daughter be brought back unharmed, ORM reluctantly agrees to spare her life in order to preserve their alliance. Elsewhere, ORM meets with Manta, handing him a powerful weapon and assigning him to hunt down Arthur and Mira. ORM promises a substantial reward for success, but Manta cares only about avenging his father. ORM also dispatches his elite soldiers to assist Manta, ensuring every resource is used to track them down. As Mira and Arthur search for the entrance to the Deserter Kingdom, their progress is slow. Frustrated, Arthur complains about the harshness of the desert, calling it a wasteland. Mira counters, saying he should feel at home since it's part of the surface world. Arthur quips that there are far better places than the desert, offering a rare moment of levity amid their dire mission. Despite the tension and their clashing perspectives, they push forward, determined to uncover the secrets of Atlan's message and secure the trident that could save both Atlantis and the surface from ORM's destructive ambitions. Unbeknownst to them, Manta and ORM soldiers are closing in, setting the stage for an explosive confrontation. Arthur tells Mira she shouldn't judge the surface world without experiencing it fully, but Mira counters, saying he never tried to understand Atlantis before condemning it. Their debate is cut short when they finally discover the entrance to the Deserter Kingdom. Within the kingdom's main temple, they uncover proof of King Atlan's trident and find the device needed to play the recording. When they activate it, a hologram of King Atlan emerges, describing the trident's unmatched power and its ability to unite the kingdoms of land and sea, but only in the hands of a true heir. Atlan reveals the path to the trident lies beyond the hidden sea, accessible through a chart concealed in a bottle that only a true king can interpret. As the hologram fades, Mira destroys the recorder to ensure no one else can use it. Before they leave, a bottle emerges from a hidden compartment in the temple floor. Inside is a map pointing to a location in Italy. Upon arriving, Mira delights in the lively streets and vibrant beauty of the city, though they quickly refocus on their mission. At the marked site, Arthur deduces that the bottle must be placed in the hand of a specific statue. Doing so reveals their next destination, the middle of the ocean. Before they can leave, Manta ambushes them, injuring Arthur with a surprise attack. As Manta pursues Arthur, Mira confronts ORM's soldiers, who announce they are also there to capture her for treason. Mira flees, planning her next move while Arthur and Manta engage in an intense battle. Manta's advanced suit and weapons give him an edge, but Arthur fights back with determination. During their clash, Arthur demands to know how they were found. Manta reveals that Mira's bracelet contains a tracker. Meanwhile, Mira outmaneuvers the soldiers, killing them one by one. Arthur ultimately defeats Manta, who crashes into jagged rocks before falling into the sea. Exhausted and injured, Arthur collapses as Mira rushes to his side. Arthur warns her that her bracelet is tracking them. Realizing this, Mira smashes it just as Arthur passes out. Elsewhere in Atlantis, ORM approaches the kingdom of the fishermen to recruit their army for his war. King Riku refuses, denouncing the conflict as reckless. Furious, ORM kills Riku and forces his heir to prepare their army, leaving only one kingdom left before ORM can lead a full-scale assault on the surface. Arthur awakens aboard a small boat, groggy but alive. He sees Mira playing a flute and learns that she stole the boat to follow the charted path. Their destination, the Kingdom of the Trench, the place where Atlanta was supposedly executed. Mira warns Arthur that the Trench is now known as a realm of death, filled with horrors that devour anyone who dares enter. Though the danger is great, Arthur steels himself, determined to uncover the truth about his mother's fate and retrieve Atlan's trident. Together, he and Mira brace for what lies ahead, knowing their journey will only grow more perilous as they draw closer to their ultimate goal. Shaken by the dangers before them, Arthur suggests turning back to warn the surface dwellers of the impending war. He doubts his ability to become king. Mira counters, expressing her unwavering belief in him and urging him to realize that he is the one destined to unite the worlds above and below. As they near their destination, a horde of monstrous creatures known as the Trench ambushes them. Arthur and Mira struggle to fend off the relentless attackers. Desperate, they use flares to repel the creatures and dive into the water in search of the portal leading to the hidden sea. When they finally locate it, Mira warns they cannot pass through together, but Arthur refuses to leave her behind. Holding her hand, Arthur attempts to cross the portal, but its violent energy forcefully separates them. Mira loses consciousness and drifts into the hidden sea, where she is nearly devoured by monstrous creatures before being rescued by an unknown figure. She awakens on the shore of the hidden sea, where her savior removes their helmet to reveal their identity: Atlanta, Arthur's mother. Stunned, Mira watches as Arthur arrives, equally shocked to see his mother alive. Overcome with emotion, Arthur embraces Atlanta and demands to know how she survived. Atlanta explains that while King Orvax had condemned her to death in the trench, she fought for her life and managed to escape. Arthur blames himself for her suffering, but Atlanta assures him it was not his fault, explaining that her sacrifice was necessary to protect both him and Tom. When she asks about Tom, Arthur tells her that he still waits for her every morning, hoping she will return. Atlanta is deeply moved, but explains she could never come back because the portal leading to the hidden sea is one way. The only way to leave is with the trident, but it is fiercely guarded by the Carathen, a powerful and ancient creature. Mira suggests they fight the beast together to retrieve the trident, but Atlanta reveals that only the true heir can claim it. She encourages Arthur, telling him he is the hero destined to save both their worlds. Guiding him to a hidden waterfall, she tells him that his destiny lies beyond. Arthur ventures behind the falls and finds the skeletal remains of King Atlan, still clutching the trident. As he reaches for it, the Carathen emerges, declaring Arthur the least worthy of all who have ever sought the weapon. The creature mocks him for being a half-breed and thrashes him mercilessly. On the brink of death, Arthur pleads for the Carathen to stop, admitting he knows he is unworthy but that he needs the trident to save his people. The Carathen is stunned by his honesty, noting that no one has spoken to him since Atlan himself, centuries ago. Sensing potential in Arthur, the Carathen allows him a chance to prove himself by wresting the trident from Atlan's grasp. Arthur succeeds, and as he grips the weapon, its immense power surges through him, marking him as the one true King of Atlantis. Arthur returns triumphantly to Mira and Atlanta, who greet him with pride, finally acknowledging him as Atlantis' rightful ruler. Meanwhile, ORM uncovers Foko's betrayal in aiding Arthur. Enraged, he orders Foko's arrest but spares his life so he can witness Atlantis' war against the surface. Foko is thrown into prison, condemned to watch helplessly as the kingdom descends into conflict. As Arthur prepares for the next stage of his journey, his newfound power and the support of Mira and Atlanta steel his resolve. The stage is set for a final confrontation with ORM, with the fate of both Atlantis and the surface world hanging in the balance. ORM leads Nereus and the Fisherman Kingdom's army to the Brine Kingdom, demanding the king's surrender and alliance in the war. When the Brine King refuses, ORM threatens to kill him. Before he can strike, a massive Carathen rises from the depths, silencing the battlefield. Riding atop the mighty creature is Arthur, wielding Atlan's trident. The sight leaves the armies in awe, recognizing Arthur as the true heir to Atlantis' throne. Using the trident's power, Arthur summons sea creatures to aid in defeating ORM's forces. Amid the chaos, Mara urges Arthur to confront ORM directly, reminding him that further casualties can be avoided if the brothers settle their conflict alone. She then approaches Nereus, showing him the trident as proof of Arthur's legitimacy. Convinced, Nereus commands his soldiers to stand down, proclaiming Arthur as their king. Arthur lures ORM to the surface for their final duel. On the ocean surface, ORM declares he will never accept Arthur as king. Arthur, resolute, replies that they will fight for the throne. Meanwhile, Mera rescues Vulko, who insists the people must witness their rightful king triumph over ORM to cement his rule. Together, they watch as Arthur battles ORM in a fierce and skillful fight. Despite ORM's strength and experience, Arthur's determination and newfound mastery of the trident allow him to overpower his brother. With ORM disarmed and defeated, Arthur demands he yield the throne. ORM refuses, insisting Arthur must kill him to end the fight. Arthur declines, saying he will not stoop to violence to prove himself, declaring, "I'm not one of you." As ORM continues to taunt him, Atlanta appears, halting the fight. ORM is stunned to see his mother alive, and she embraces him, calling for an end to the feud. She explains that Orvax's teachings were wrong and urges ORM to understand that the land and sea are meant to coexist. Her words strike a chord, and ORM visibly softens. Vulko arrives to take ORM into custody, ensuring his imprisonment rather than execution. Mera publicly announces Arthur as the new King of Atlantis. The gathered armies erupt in celebration, chanting Arthur's name as he rallies them with a declaration of unity. The next morning, Tom walks to the docks, as he has every day since Atlanta left. To his amazement, he finds her waiting for him. Overwhelmed with joy, he embraces her, and she reassures him that she has finally returned. Together, they look out at the ocean, reunited as a family once more, as Arthur assumes his rightful place as King of Atlantis, bridging the worlds of land and sea. I hope you liked this movie. If so, then please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more such exciting content. Till then, stay safe and keep enjoying.